Hello, it's Erica here from Me to You Paper Crafts, coming to you with another fun fold, and this is kind of a different fun fold. The fun fold is actually the element on the front of a standard card. So this is a standard A2 sized card, and it's a tent fold because you start with a 4 1/4 by 11 piece of cardstock scored in the middle to make the tent. And then the fun fold is actually this cute little kite on the front of the card. So I got this idea from Lisa Curcio. She had made a card, and it was fairly easy to make, although I have adjusted the actual making of the card to make it even a little bit easier because I struggled with a few parts of it. So I've got a couple of tips to give you when putting this card together. So I had my team meeting last night, so this was the make and take that we did for the team meeting. And then this is the card that I had made as the prototype, and this is where I kind of learned some of the tips to change the way it was actually put together. But again, it's got that cute little magnet in there, and look at the little tail. You just use some, some string of some kind and then put some little bows on there. Isn't that cute? Yeah, I just love the way these turned out. They're a little unique. Great masculine cards, I think, or little boy birthdays. I think would be cute too. Okay, so let's get started. So in the video description below there will be a link to my blog post, and that's where I usually put all of the I shouldn't say usually, that's where I put all of the cardstock measurements for the pieces that you need and any scoring measurements. But you will need to follow this video to see how to put it together because there's quite a few steps involved. All right, so the DSP that I chose to use was this Artistry Blooms. This is very colorful paper. It's got tons of colors in it, really bright, really cheery, and well, I just really liked it. And so I picked out some paper scraps from here. So this will be the background, and then I'm going to use these pieces for the actual kite. And then the kite making piece is 4 by 10 inches. Really important that you get that measurement correct. It's 4 by 10. The card base, however, is your half of a piece of cardstock. You cut it in half at 4 1/4. So this is 4 1/4 by 11, and then you score it in the center. So we'll do that right now just to get the card base ready. So I'm just going to pull out my mini scoreboard here, and I'm actually going to use a different stylus here. And I'm going to score this at 5 1/2. Okay, so this is our standard fold. So let's put that away. And I like to just make sure my edges are nice and straight, and then I take my bone folder and I burnish this edge. I want it nice and flat. Okay. And then I can just take my piece of DSP. This measures 4 by 5 1/4 for my layer. And you have to then have the decision of which side of the paper you want to use. I am going to use this side. So I'm going to pull in my silicone mat and then my tape runner. And we'll go ahead and put this on the card. Get that nicely centered on here. You could add additional layers if you felt like it, but I think the card is bulky enough with the kite on the front. Now once you put it in the envelope, it will fit in a standard A2 sized envelope, but once you put it in there, it might be a bit thick and you might need extra postage. So I would take it to the post office before you pop it into the mailbox. All right, so we're done with the card base. We can set that aside. And now we're going to create the kite now. Okay, so there's a few things you need to do before you fold or cut. And you need a pencil and you need a ruler. Okay, so what we're going to do is, this is 4 inches on the short side, so I need to make a tick mark at the top and at the bottom. So I'm just going to center this up on my grid sheet here. So I'm going to make a tick mark so it's halfway in, which is 2 inches in. And I'm going to do a tick mark at the top. Okay, because I've centered it on my grid sheet, I can easily see where the center mark is, top and bottom. Okay, now I'm going to rotate it to the landscape position. Let's roll up my sleeves, and I'm going to take it over to my corner, because what you want to do now is you're going to create a tick mark 3 inches in from both sides, so 3 inches from the right, 3 inches from the left, and you're going to put tick mark top and bottom again. Okay, so I find it easier just to use a ruler here so I can make sure it's nice and straight. So 3 inches, 10, 9, 8, so at 7 inches, and I'm just going to bring my ruler down because I have one of those T rulers, and I'm going to put a tick mark here at the bottom and one at the top. Okay, and then 3 inches, I'm just going to line it up 3 inches again. So 1, 2, 3 inches, top and bottom. Top and bottom. Okay, now I'm going to redo this one because something happened there. I don't know what happened there. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay. All right, now you're going to use these tick marks to actually do some cutting and scoring. So you want to pull out your trimmer. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to score 2 diagonal lines in here. All right, so you want to line up one of the tick marks that's at the top to one of the tick marks that's at the bottom. Okay, line those 2 tick marks up right in that track. And make sure you're not cutting, you are scoring. So make sure you know which blade is which. The lighter gray blade is the scoring blade, and the dark gray is the cutting blade. So you're going to score that. You want to really have a good score line in there, and then turn it so that you do the other diagonal. So again, tick mark to tick mark. Line up those marks. Okay, tick mark to tick mark. There we go. Hold it tight. Give it a few swipes with the scoring blade. Okay, and then you're going to score it in the center. Now, this is 10 inches, so it should be at 5, but what you want to make sure is make sure that when you score it, you're actually scoring it right on that center line. And it didn't work out for me before when I had initially just scored it in half to start with, and then I did my diagonals and it was off. You want to make sure you get right down onto that center bit right there. So what I also, just to be sure, because if you don't get this right, it will not fold properly. So I'm going to find that center point, the X right in the center point, and I'm going to use my ruler again, and I am going to draw a line. Just a light line there to make sure I'm in the center. Really, really important. Then I'm going to pull back in and I'm going to score it. But at least now I can see to make sure I get that line right in the track. Okay, and then I'm going to give it a score. Okay. So to reiterate, don't score it halfway first. Do your diagonals and then make sure you get into the center. Okay, oops, sorry. Now we still need our trimmer because now we're going to do some cutting. So we want to create the points of the kite, and so we have to trim off the 4 corners, all right? So again, you have your tick mark on the side and your tick mark at the top. So you're going to line those 2 tick marks up now. And now you're going to use your cutting blade and you're going to cut that off. And then you're going to do the other side. So again, tick mark to the point. Now you have a point to the tick mark. Okay, and cut. Now, when I cut, I don't like to cut in the direction where the point is because sometimes it can jam that up a little bit and crinkle it. So I like to go from the other angle for cutting. And you're going to do the other side now. So again, tick mark to tick mark. Get those well lined up, and then cut, and then do the other side. So it's from the point now to that other tick mark. Okay. Okay, so I can get rid of my scoreboard now, and so this is what you end up with. You see that? You end up with 2 points, and then you end up with 2 diagonals and 1 center line. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to erase all of my tick marks here. And the center pencil line. So when you do your tick marks and your pencil line, you want to do them as lightly as you can, but that you can still see them. Now because the center line, it does show up, I'll make sure my card is folded. This will be the back of the kite when I glue it into my card. Okay, so now what you want to do is you're going to fold that center line and make sure your points line up really well. So line those points up as best you can, okay, before you actually fold it, and then hold it down tight. And then I just bring out my bone folder, and then I score. Okay, you want those points to match up really well. And the important thing is you're going to fold it back on itself, and you're going to score it again. So you're scoring in both directions on all of these folds. Okay, so now you're going to fold on the diagonal, and again you're going to score, and burnish I should say, in both directions. And then do the other diagonal. All right, I'll get rid of all this scrap, and I'm done with this ruler and my eraser. Okay, so in the end, if you've scored them, they should be really flexible, and so it's actually bending. These 2 side panels are coming in, and then this is coming down across the top, okay? And now you still want to make sure those points line up really well. So you might want to hold them tight and then fold again, or burnish again, I should say, with your bone folder. So this one is turning out a lot better than the other one that I made because my center line was off. You can't have that center line be off. Otherwise this end where the point is will not fold properly. Okay, now I also struggled. I don't mind admitting that I struggled. I've been paper crafting for 30 years, and yes, I do still struggle sometimes, but I had a really difficult time getting this DSP, because it's cut on an angle, getting the DSP to line up with this even border all the way around. So rather than, and create a white space in between, so rather than worry about that, I put it on so that the DSPs meet all in the middle, and then I just cut 2 1/8 of an inch strips, and I glued them on to give it the white space in between. To me, I found it much easier. If you'd like to try and center these with a nice even border around, then you can go ahead and do that. So you have 2 pieces. They're 2 different sizes because the bottom of the kite is a larger piece of DSP than the top. And what you're going to do is you're going to cut these on the diagonal. So again, put your point in your point. Okay, and I like to, when I'm working with small pieces of paper, I have a little post-it note here that I use, and I put that in there just to hold the paper down. Now again, I don't want to go up. I don't want to cut up the points or down from the top on the point. I put my score blade in the middle and then go out from the middle. Okay, so there's my 2 triangle pieces here for this one. And you're going to put them down. This long, the longer edge is what is going out like this. So here's my longer edge, and then I'm going to flip it over. because you want two different colors on each side here, like that. And sorry, there's somebody at the front door, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. All right, so now the next piece of DSP, I'm going to cut on the diagonal. Just put my little Post-it flag in there. So I think I cut this on the wrong diagonal. So let's see. So my kite's going to have to look like that. But you can get them opposite. Just watch which diagonal you cut your paper on. Or do I switch it around? No, it doesn't matter what I do. That's what I get. Okay. So that's fine. I'm not worried about that. Yeah, so I think one you have to cut left to right and the other one right to left. Okay, so let's move on now. All right, now to help with gluing this on your card, what I found, on your kite I should say, what I found was really helpful is, again, I brought out my ruler and my pencil, and I want to, just reinforce these fold lines here to make sure this lines up really well. Okay, so I'm going to draw a pencil mark, or a line I should say, from point, very lightly, from point to point this way, and from point to point this way. And that's going to help me find the center of the kite. Okay, so if you draw two lines like that, then when you glue these on, you're going to go right to the corner and right along the score line there. Okay, when you glue that in. Now I prefer to use Tombow because it gives me a bit of wiggle room. So I'm going to get that right along the lines. Like so. And we'll do this one over here. That's what I love about Tombow. You can just slide it right into place. Okay. And now we have a top piece. Can I not flip this over? Yeah, I definitely, oh no, there we go. Oh my goodness, figured it out. It's a bit of a challenge for me. It's like a puzzle. Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. I prefer it this way actually. So we're going to glue this side. Okay, and then we're going to do our last piece like that. And just slide that right into place. So I think that tip will help you, because now when you look at my kite, I have a pretty even edge all the way around the outside of that. And you're going to put your greeting in the center anyway, so that's okay. All right, now I need to grab another piece of, sorry, I'm just checking, did I turn my video back on? Yes, I did. Okay, so I need to grab another piece of Whisper White cardstock. So with this Whisper White, I'm going to pull back my trimmer and I'm going to cut 1/8 of an inch off 2 strips. I've just picked a quarter sheet of my Whisper White and I'm going to cut 2 very tiny strips. It's about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and these are going to create my white spaces in between my kite here. So I'm going to lay it across like that and down, and then you can just trim off the edges. All right, so let's put, I'll just use Tombow again. Just get a little bit, oh, I'm going to pull in my silicone mat. I don't want to get glue on my grid paper here. Okay. Just a tiny, tiny, tiny line of glue. And then we'll go point to point, like so. This didn't have to be, didn't really have to be white. I guess you could have used a different color. And then let's do this one. Okay. So let's give this a little trim. And I like to trim from the back. So you're actually trimming just like a little poke, a little point on there. Probably have to clean my scissors after this because there's a bit of glue on there. And of course the little bits are sticking to my fingers. Okay, so now I've trimmed those pieces off. Let's just throw these bits in my bucket. Alright, so now we need to do a greeting, and I think I'm going to just do a real simple thank you on the front. Or how about this, you're one of the good ones, I'm one of the thankful ones. That would be good. You are one of the good ones. And I might do a circle punch this time. Yes, I might do a 2-inch circle punch. Or actually, I think I'll bring out my circle, my layering circles. and just so that I can put a layer on the back of it. Alright, so first let's bring back that Scrap Whisper White, and I need a block. And then we will, and maybe I will do this in Gorgeous Grape. Let's stamp this here. And then let's find a circle that fits it. Let's see. Let's see this one. Nope, that's too tight. Let's go to the next one up. Let's try this one. There we go. So we're going to cut that out. And then this is my brown with my brown. See how I color coordinate my circles. And I will be cutting this out of some, I could do a pink color too. What's my base again? I just love the way, oh, here we go, here's my card base. Yes, this is Highland Heather. I could do, this is already in the grape, and then maybe I'll do, yeah, what the hell, let's make it really bright. I'm going to bring out some pink. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm going to glue this to this Magenta Madness, which I love, this bright pink. Glue that together, and I will mount it on some dimensionals. Let's just close this ink pad up. So we'll put 3 dimensionals on here. And before we mount that, we're going to actually glue this to the front of our card. So I just used Tombow for this. And when you put this on the front of your card, you want to make sure you've got space to put your tail on, okay? So I'm going to do it like that and hold it down for a few seconds. And then decide on what I'm going to do for my tail. Okay, and now this can go on the top. Now I like the greeting to be straight, orienting with the card base, so I'm going to put it on like that. Okay, and then my inside greeting, what was I going to do? I'm one of the thankful ones, you're one of the good ones. So you're one of the good ones. No, I've got that on the front, this is going on the inside, sorry. I got confused. So I'm one of the thankful ones. And I think I'll do this in the same color. Actually, no, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to do Magenta Madness. Now, you have a couple of options here. You could, like I did on this card, I had my outside greeting and my inside greeting was actually on the inside of the kite here. But you could have the outside greeting, you could maybe put some other kind of an image in here if you wanted, and then put your inside greeting on the actual inside of the card. Or you could just leave this to write your personal message. It's up to you, you know, what you want to do. But you have some options there. So I'm just going to open this up and then try and get this straight. There we go. I love that font. It's kind of a cool font. Look at those two colors together. Love them. Okay, so other options, if you wanted to, you might be able to work a ribbon in here and tie it closed, although you're going to have your tail here. I think the magnet or a little Velcro dot would work well in here. So I happen to have magnets, and you can purchase these. I got mine on Amazon. I live in Canada, so I got them on Amazon.ca. And they come in different sizes. And they don't have adhesives on them, so I just use my glue dots. So you want to grab a glue dot and so put a glue dot on one, and then you're going to stick it. Oh, I still have a little pencil mark in there. Let's just erase that. So I'm going to put one down in the bottom here. You really want to press that down too. Okay, and then put the other one on top, get it to magnetize, and then grab another glue dot and put this glue dot on top of this one, and then push your card down. Now this is where you can adjust it to make sure it's really the points are together. Okay, and really press that together. You could use an acrylic block on top and then give it a good press like that. Okay, now these magnets work best if you slide it like that to open it. Okay, just push it and slide it open, you see, rather than just trying to ply it up. Okay, now what I forgot to do, important step I forgot to do, and I've already glued this down, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do, but I should have put my ribbon on or my string on, and like on this one, I glued it to the back of the kite actually before I put it down onto the card here. You could put it underneath the magnet as well, but I kind of forgot that step, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do now. And I have to have a tail on it somehow. So I want to see if I can get up this bottom a little bit. Oh, I will be able to get it up the bottom. I'm using the take your pick tool. It's fantastic, and the best feature is this little spatula, so I'll be able to fit a string underneath there. Okay, so I'm going to pull down some of my twine. I think I'll use this twine here. And I'm going to just push this underneath it. I might add a bit more glue on the end of this. So let me pull out my silicone mat again and put some glue on here. Okay, and then I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to slide that underneath like that and then glue it down. Okay. And then you can just get some ribbon and you could tie some little bows on there. Or just leave, you know, whatever you've decided to use as your string. You could leave that like that. So, and you might want to put a couple more glue dots on here just to hold it in place. And then I've got a couple of bits here I want to take off. We have a real windstorm happening here in Victoria. I don't know why. It's so windy. Oh dear. I'm really struggling with this here. There we go. Okay. Okay. So I think I'll finish it like that. I will do my bows up a little bit later, but you can glue this down with some glue dots. You would tie your ribbons on first of all, and then glue it down. And there you'd have your string for your kite. So that's basically how it goes together. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope my tips and tricks help you along the way. And it's really advisable that you watch this from the beginning to the end just to see any steps that I've missed, like putting the tail on before I glued it to the card. But there you go. Thank you so much for joining me, and stay tuned for next week with another Fun Fold Friday. See you next week. Bye for now.